Word Up Mondays.
Hello and welcome back to another Word Up with Perzan Ministries. I'm Aaron and this is my beautiful wife, Michelle. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to dive into a fun topic that a lot of us wrestle with, and that's the in-between time, right? That season where you've let go, but it's like you haven't seen the promise yet. Kind of like if you paid for something, but you're wondering, where is it, right? It's sometimes that's kind of what it feels like to trust God in the waiting season. So let's set the foundation. Michelle, what does it say in Habakkuk 2:3?
It says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry."
So I love that because it talks about the vision having an appointed time. If we look in Romans 8:25, it says, "But if we hope for what we do not see, we eagerly wait for it with perseverance." Both those scriptures are a great reminder that God's promises have an appointment, not our calendar, His.
Yeah, we usually think that if we're waiting, that nothing's happening, right? We think, well, it's like we're waiting for a play-by-play of things to happen, and if they're not, we think that nothing's happening. But God uses that in-between as a training ground. He's training us. It's not to train other people. It's always about keeping our side of the street clean, right? So He's using that in-between as a training process. Even if you look at Joseph back in Genesis 37, right? God gave him a dream at 17, but then he didn't see that come to pass until he was 30. And what happened in between, right? Lots of stuff. There was pits and prisons and betrayals and a whole bunch of challenging things in the in-between. However, it did come to pass.
So it's kind of neat, right? After Joseph went through those things, where did he land? In a palace, right? Because the vision that God gave him when he was 17 was about leading and ruling. It's not that he wanted to rule, but this was a vision that God gave him, showed him a promise. And so he went through all those things. Those years shaped him. You can also look at, what if he got into the palace too soon, right? Sometimes there's certain things that we have a vision of, and sometimes just a dream for or a desire for, that if we got it right then and there, it could actually hurt us more than it could bless us. It's easy to say, I trust God, when things are moving and when you can see things, right? But when nothing's happening, or something's not moving, or things are still, or things are quiet, you find out really quickly where your trust is.
Yeah. It's almost like treating God like Amazon or Amazon Prime, right? We can get delivery like by the next morning before you get up. You're looking for, right, the tracking number, or you'll get a text saying, your delivery is 7 stops away. Now it's 4 stops away, right? We're waiting for that sometimes because we're human beings. We walk in the flesh, and it's such a quick world nowadays that you have tracking numbers and information, and, oh, God gave me a dream, it must be happening right this second. Maybe if we just were still and said to the Lord, asked Him, right? Go back to what we were talking about the last couple of weeks. Ask Him, Lord, thank you for showing me this. When is it? When is the timing? Doesn't mean He's going to show you the exact timing, but just trusting Him in the waiting and knowing that He may not be giving you the tracking number and how many stops it is, but how are you going to trust Him and just know that He's God, right? In that waiting period, in the in-between.
Isn't it that song Waymaker that says, even when I don't see it,
you're working.
Even when
I don't feel it, you're working.
You're working, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego kind of comes to mind in some aspect, right? They're about to be tossed in the fire for not worshiping the false gold gods, and they stood on their faith, and they said that our God is God. He's King, right? And He can rescue us. He can save us. But even if He doesn't, we will not worship these false gods, right? It's a beautiful thing. They were standing in their trust. Perseverance means worshiping when you're weary, obeying when it feels easier to quit, praying when you'd rather complain, right? Farmers don't plant the seed and then go dig it up and see if it's grown yet, right? They wait for the results. They water it, they nurture it, they let it grow. we kind of need to do the same thing, because sometimes God's just working underground and we can't see it. So Michelle, what's a couple ponder points we've got for today?
Yes, some ponder points are, first one, am I treating the waiting as wasted or as God's training ground? Because when you're waiting on the Lord and He's giving you a promise, there is nothing wasted. Just like you spoke about the farmer, all that in between before the harvest comes, so important. The sunshine, the water, right? Like it's the pruning of things that don't belong. So valid and so very important. The second one is, do I trust God's timing or am I frustrated because it doesn't match my time? I think we've spoken about that before, but it's true and it's very fitting here. And the third one is, how can I actively persevere while I wait? That's good.
What do you do?
Well, what I do when I'm waiting, or God has shown me it's a time, whether it's a vision, a dream, or something that I know is the next step, and I'm in that waiting, lots of times I just am still, where I'm just like, okay, Lord, and what that means is being still is trusting Him, declaring His word out loud, being in prayer, worshiping, putting on worship music. But lots of times I will take the word of God and what it says, and I will declare and decree it. This is what your word says, Lord. Especially when I was battling cancer. This is what your word says, Lord. This is what your word says. Because of Jesus' blood, I am healed and whole, right? By His stripes, I'm made whole. There's certain things in the waiting or in that in-between that we can just go to the word of God and start declaring that out loud. And I mean, you can read it and that's powerful. Start reading it out loud. Because faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of God, right? You're not only declaring it with your mouth, but then you're saying it into the atmosphere, which is important, right? Because then you're saying it, you're believing it, and now your ears are hearing it, and it does increase your faith. So for me, in the in-between, getting into the Word of God and standing on that as a firm foundation.
That's some great tools to use right there. I've got a great acronym for you, WWW. No, not World Wide Web, and certainly not whine while you wait, right? Worship while waiting. Right? It's a great way. Michelle touched on that. There's lots of times I'll be sitting or I'll be reading or I might be just kind of laying in bed and I can hear the thump, 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 thump. And then I'll hear, I'm hearing it through the walls, so I can't really duplicate it, but she's running on a treadmill. I could hear the steps going. I could hear the whoosh, 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 whoosh of the treadmill, and then worship music. And she's saying stuff, she's decreeing stuff, like whatever she's right for the moment. So I've seen it and I've witnessed it, and it's a lot of fun. Worship, obedience, I'll also add as a key ingredient for the wait, right? Don't slip into disobedience. But worship, obedience, and prayer are significant tools in that waiting period.
Yeah. The in-between, just to encourage you today, it's not punishment. Right? Just because it's not happening in your timing or God showed you, you're like, well, it's supposed to happen right now. It's not punishment. It really is preparation. In that in-between, we get to increase our relationship with Him by being in the Word, by going to Him with all of our needs, with our worries, our concerns, anything that's trying to bring in fear or anxiety. We get to use that as strengthening our relationship. And that's super powerful. If He has given you a promise, which is the word of God, He has given each one of us a promise. You can be sure and you can stand on that it's true.
He's faithful to bring it to pass. So look, if you'd like to learn more about our ministry, please pay us a visit at perzanministries.org. Every Tuesday we have Fire Talks at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's both in person and online. If you'd like details on how to join in person or online, send us an email at perzanministries@perzanministries.org. So don't quit in the middle. Trust in Him deeply. Hold steady. And remember, waiting is just the hallway to the promise. See you next Monday right here on Word Up Mondays.